characters. Oh,
Man, that was creepy.
Good, terrifying robot vibe to start every game with. Okay.
So other characters in the group are like really big on my screen. Is there any way I can reduce the size of those?
Zoom out.
Not the characters.
The
I'm sorry,
icons?
like the icons.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
to the cog, and it's a setting that you can choose name only. And it's what I
That's what I
Ooh,
do.
Okay.
While you're at it, you can go ahead and do. You can choose. I want to broadcast to others nothing, and I want to receive from others nothing. That way, you don't get a bunch of redundant stuff.
Okay. Do I need to I need to reconnect to do that. Okay.
You're not planning on using any animated graphics, are you? Can I undo that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to be using animated graphics.
Okay.
Huh. Didn't work.
I found my character sheet. That's a good sign.
Good. You can look for your character sheet under Journal, which is the third tab in, or you can hold Alt and double click on
Yeah, this is
right, and it'll open up the.
Journal. Oh, I see it now. Okay.
I've also started to
cool.
preload the journal with some like common stuff, and I will load in other stuff as they come up, as they become relevant. So you guys will have that available.
Where for text-based communication, like if we were to type something out, should I just be in general flaptitude, or?
I mean, players can answer this better than I can, because you guys are usually the ones who are like typing stuff in the background.
usually it
I
seems
guess
like when we have something game related,
a
we
chat
do it
that's-
in.
Oh, sorry.
When we do something game related, we usually do it in like Roll20, the chat room there. And if it's like not game talk, like out of character talk, I guess, then general flaptitude.
Yeah, drop all your sick memes in general flaptitude.
Yeah. Okay. I will do that.
I mean, Jeff has a pretty solid meme game. Oh, it sounded sarcastic.
I'm pretty sure that that's like 3/4 of what I did when we used to play online. It's just literally find memes all game and just
Yeah, I really remember a period where I was
You're in good company.
and then I was spending about half of each game pulling up memes while DMing, and it was not efficient.
Not efficient, but a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Dad, you might want to. What is? Dad, you might want to go to the settings on Roll20. That's the gear icon in the far right, and make sure that you have broadcast turned off. It's down right near the bottom of settings.
Okay, hold on. Nothing. Broadcast nothing. Okay.
Okay, you're fine. So Jeff, were you able to get to your character sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. You can click roll on any of your skills, and it will go ahead and just roll that number for you. And if you go down to like one of your weapons, click roll on that weapon, and it will let you choose what skill you want to roll for attacking with that weapon. So the character sheets are set up as much as I can to make everything intuitive and easy. I don't have vehicle combat totally streamlined yet, so I'll prove that as we go. But the character stuff should all be pretty easy. Oh no!
Yeah, when I click roll, I get an error message.
That's weird.
Uh-oh.
Character name. Character name.
Hmm.
What?
Eh.
Is someone already impersonating me? That was fast.
Welcome to the internet.
Which one did you try? You just tried doing a skill roll?
So far, any roll that I've tried to click on my sheet comes up with just /emas Bluvan error.
Fascinating. You should have permission to use the character sheet. You're able to open it up. Can you try refreshing your page?
Okay.
I'm going to refresh my page. This is the command I get if I try and shoot my assault rifle.
Interesting.
All right,
I
log
get that
off.
too.
What the fuck? What? What happens if I rejoin as a player?
I'm rejoining now. Oh. Oh. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So DMs can do it, but others can't.
Mm.
Is EMAS a GM specific command? Chat command. Fucking GM exclusive command. Awesome.
I sort of remember one time we used Roll20 and we kind of had to make everyone a GM, but we just sort of kept it like, hey, don't check out the secrets page.
No, I use the GM stuff pretty well, but I know how to fix this pretty easily.
Okay.
So now that I know what the problem is, well, first I need to do a test.
I got to go back. Hold on.
How do I test it? Okay. Roll20. Alright, so while I work on this, does everybody want to go around and introduce their characters? And once everybody's introduced our characters, we're going to start going through some of the logistics of the format and the starting point of the campaign, and how you guys all met each other, stuff like that.
Okay.
Sure. There's a like a speaker microphone by Randy's name on my page.
I don't know what it means.
Okay.
Crash.
Anybody want to start?
So we are introducing our characters and saying where we're from And did you say to say how we're meeting?
Let's start with just introducing our character.
Alright, I'm gonna go first. And just fair warning, I'm gonna try out a slight voice. I don't want it to get obnoxious
Nice.
because that's kind of
Mhm.
annoying after a while, but
By
I'll
a
try it out. So,
correct?
hello everyone, I'm Bluvan. I am a fish-ician.
I missed part of your name. I'm sorry.
Bluvan.
Bluvan.
Okay.
I am a physician and a fish, a nautilus, and I come from a farm world. I also am an empath. I am a survivor who cares.
All right. I love your icon, by the way.
I haven't even seen it. Did Bryn choose that?
I did. Is it appropriate?
Yeah, it's great.
So
Is that Mr. Frog?
specific aesthetic that you were thinking of, but I feel like it fits the personality that you're thinking of.
Yeah, it definitely does. And as a visual representation of what I might look like, though that's a good aesthetic that I want to keep the icon there. I kind of look like a Zora from the Zelda game series.
Okay.
If everybody refreshes the page, your roll commands should work now.
Hold on, I'm gonna test it. So what character are you, Jeff? Now that I'm looking at the icons.
Jeff is Bluvan.
Bluvan, okay. Bluvan. Alright, yeah, I like that character. Alright.
Survivor, who cares?
I'm rolling my weapon, my assault rifle, and okay.
Wow.
Yes, you're
Bryn, these
correct.
built-in cheats are really handy.
Mm-hmm. And aren't they pretty?
Yeah. It's really easy to find stuff.
Yeah, I was worried because it is, especially when I was like taking shots of it, so I could show them to people who didn't necessarily have access. It is ridiculously long. I think it's like 5 pages long for to print it out. But I'm hoping, like, I couldn't better way organize it and still have all the information you need. I mean, ideally, maybe some like disappearing folders so you can like click the button to reveal the section you want to look at. But I don't know. I think this is the best I can do for now.
Hey, Bryn.
Yes.
Something I hadn't considered is Kevin playing from your side?
So, Kevin, does his, Nicole days on Saturdays. So, he thinks he will not be able to join consistently. He will probably join as an NPC fairly often. And I will be working with him to come up with, like, character, gameplay, come up with like concepts for levels and concepts for NPCs, stuff like that. So he'll participate by helping me build the campaign and the world, but timing wise, it'll be hard for him to. Okay. So we have introduced Bluvan. Who wants to introduce their character next?
Oh, I can go next.
Okay.
I don't have a character voice. Sorry.
I think that character voices you grow into.
Okay.
Normally.
We'll see if that develops.
Sure.
But my character's name is Duranta. She is a member of the Oricks from a feudal world. And she is she's a
Village shepherd, right?
Yeah, hang on. I know it's in here. I just scrolled past it. There we go. A village shepherd with a tiny flock. should I provide background for that? Because, like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. And that particular story is that the party picked up Duranta and MX8 from a planet that was about to be destroyed. So MX8 got Duranta and a few other people from her village onto a transport right before the planet was overrun. And being her village sort of spiritual leader and protector, she now has this little tiny flock of people that she cares a lot about.
Yeah, so I really am just in love with this concept because it's almost a variation on the concept of paladin, but in such a more cozy way. Because your character is both a vanguard and a witch. And so the way we conceptualize that is that you look after the spiritual well-being of your people as well as physical protection of your people, as well as the, like, you know, interpersonal well-being. You're kind of just the like, it's like if you were the town pastor and the town, like, sheriff at the same time.
Yes, yeah, and I like that. I was trying to reconcile those things in my head and came up with paladin too as like the closest analogous thing.
But paladin is such a, like, pretentious, like, high and mighty, like, knight in shining armor on an expensive steed idea, and yours is just like, you're just like this homely little lady that watches over the town. You're the shepherd.
Homely, kind, big lady.
Yes. Did you see the art I did for her?
Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's cute.
Yeah. So if you scroll up a few pages on the art tab in Discord, I have two drawings of Duranta. One of her just in casual wear to show scale with humans, and one of her in her combat armor with her chainsaw.
Oh, whoa. I was looking at the sprite. Whoa.
Do you see
that's awesome.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That is kick-ass. Thank you, Bren. That's so cool.
I know. It makes me happy. I also...
You have a chainsaw?
Yeah.
I have a chainsaw.
So we
cool.
Nice.
liked the idea of Duranta being somebody who came into this galaxy not knowing any of this technology stuff and has been going out of her way to make herself technologically proficient so she can be a better shepherd for her clan. And part of that is she had to make herself proficient in the, like, weapons and armaments that people these days use, which means she taught herself how to wear power armor, chainsaw. This cozy little village shepherd, and she chops you to pieces.
You were cutting out there a little, Brent.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. Well.
Every fifth word, I'd say.
Interesting. Is it still happening?
No, it sounds
Better
fine.
now.
Okay. Well, so Duranta is precious and we love her.
Would it be cool if I went next?
I feel like you should.
So yeah, up until this point, I'd been polishing my weapon, my pistol, and upon hearing Duranta's voice, I kind of just look up and I don't look anywhere else. I just stare at her. And that happens for like a good 2 minutes.
Whoa.
And it's weird just because, like, I don't really have a face you can look into. It's kind of just like a gaseous sphere and like black cloud.
I'm gonna copy my drawing for
Is it looking at him? Is it not looking at her?
And then finally I look at the rest of the group and then look back at her and go, "Hello, I'm Mate, Unit MX_8. It's good to meet you all. I am a memory has been de-addressed. Robot, it's good to meet you. And then I want to just go back to polishing my gun.
How often does
I'll go
this
next.
happen?
Is that a direct question to me, the role player, or to Mate?
Sorry, to you, the role player.
I'm going to figure out what is a good amount of time to do that, given the narrative. Where it fits, I think I'll do it. But I won't just do it all the time, just as like an escape.
Right.
In this particular instance, I think it makes sense that I can't address this particular memory, so I can't tell you what I am. I'm just a robot.
Okay, cool. All right.
And it's very good to meet you in particular.
Now, MX8. So to come up with the timeline, we were thinking that the planetary destruction of Duranta's homeworld happened like 2 years ago. That's enough time for you guys to have started to become a little bit more used to the like technology, and that you're not going to be totally freaked out every time you see an alien. And also, it's enough time that you guys have spent some time with the party and stuff like that. So, do you like that? Does that time frame work with you?
Yeah, I think that time frame is very fair. I think I'd still have the de-addressed memory. I am very happy to know everyone who's on the ship right now.
But Mate has known Duranta for a long time, correct?
Yeah, I would say so. But I want to say, in particular, at this moment, Mate doesn't remember that.
Okay, that'll be interesting. If you guys go to Discord and go to the art tab, I just pasted my upgraded drawings, or I just moved all the drawings I've done down to the bottom. So you guys can see my drawing of Mate there, and that's the single best thing I've ever drawn.
Thank you.
With my whole heart. They're a precious baby who must be protected at all costs. They're just a little sheriff.
He's just a tiny little fighting guy.
Tiny little fighting guy. Especially when I realized that we then made Duranta's race very large. So Mate at his like fully compressed mode is like 5 feet tall, or maybe like 4'6".
Yeah,
and
just very
Duranta
tiny.
is like 7 foot.
Oh wow.
However, I think, and let me know if you want to go a different angle with it, Mikhail. I think that Mate is each of their limbs is extendable a decent amount. They've got those bender arms. So when they want to, they can make themselves larger or smaller by extending their legs. So they can like extend their legs to make themselves taller, extend their arms.
Yeah, I like that in fiction. There's some really good uses for that.
Yeah, and it means that you can be so when you're like fully compact, you're like 3.5 feet tall. When you extend, you're like, I don't know, maybe 6 feet tall. So I don't know how that would have fit in with you when you were in their world traveling among these giants. But yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Mate knows Duranta, and I only know like a little bit of the backstory. Does Duranta know Mate, other than from the sort of mythological standpoint?
Mikhail, we had talked a bit about Mate's history on his planet before shit went south. And do you want to go over what a normal person from this region would know about Mate, either from like news stories or from folklore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the people in like a lot of the smaller villages know Mate probably as legend, kind of a thing that shows up when bad things are happening. It's kind of like a folk tale of parents who tell their children, well, don't be a bad kid, make sure you brush your teeth, or else, Mate will show up.
Well, I think it's almost more like the way that angels were thought about in like 1800s America, where like, oh, there's a like a mate watching over you, like if you're good and you have faith, then like Mate will protect you, kind of thing. Except I don't think that they necessarily knew your name, right?
So protector or menace?
Protector, 100%.
Yeah, definitely protector.
So yeah, go on.
Yeah, I kind of think it's fair that they wouldn't know Mate by name. Maybe like 2 or 3 kids Mate might have revealed himself to, and nobody actually believes what the kids have to say about like the things that he's accomplished in their villages.
Right. Now, they've been doing something else for the past like 50 years, different than what they were doing for the centuries beforehand. What have they been doing recently?
So the last 50 years have been very tedious for Mate, but something Mate has very much so enjoyed doing, and that's cleaning up the trash, kind of like on the outskirts of these villages. There's like a lot of rabble, and the easiest way to clean that up is to kind of take it upon himself to get rid of the bad element of this place and of this planet. He's kind of taken upon himself as his like mission statement to make sure that this place is clean.
Yeah, and that is why Mate is a desperado and specifically a revolver slinging gunslinger.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that kind of happened over time, and Mate definitely adapted to this world and kind of the technology on this world, which is why Mate's gear kind of stayed very simple in that way.
To be clear, this world was in their Industrial Revolution when it was destroyed, so they had guns, but they were not anywhere close to having like space travel.
Do we not know most of what you just said because of you just introducing yourself in brief?
We're going to, after everybody's like kind of almost more out of character, who their characters are, we're going to decide how your party knows each other, how long you've known each other, stuff like that. So that's up in the air. I do want to say MX8 and Duranta have known each other together. Can you say that?
I didn't catch much of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah, neither did I.
Where is my... Oh my god, sorry. My microphone has shifted around and ended up in a weird place. MX8 and Duranta have been working together for 2 years, correct? We can nail that down?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's a very fair timeline.
I think they've been sticking together since the destruction of their planet.
Before we go on, I just want to ask a clarifying question. Where are we right now?
In the metaphysical void.
Metaphysical void?
Yeah, we're going to determine setting.
Oh.
in this thing. We don't have a setting just yet.
Okay.
So, we have Bluvan, Duranta, and Mate have introduced themselves. By the way, Mikhail, do you want to stick with they, them pronouns for Mate, or will it be easier to just do he, him?
I would like they, them.
Okay, so we'll try to stick with they, them.
Thanks.
Okay, so I need to hear from Ruda, Aveline, Colonel Dylan, and Roy. Who wants to
I'll go.
Okay.
Hello, Catherine and Jeff. I'm Zai. I don't think I've met you guys before.
Hey.
The character I will be playing this game is Roy. So since we haven't determined setting, whatever it would be, Roy is standing a little bit from the rest of the party, looking off into the distance or looking over a cliff, as it were. And one of the things that you'll notice that I do throughout this campaign is just say random little bits of poetry like, "The desolate nighttime, why a venomous small creature sings in spite of its eyes." So Roy is a synthetic being that has been implanted into an organic body, and he believes that he has a lifespan of 6 years. So he's a little intense. He's a bit of a loner. And he's not very much a fan of organic things. Of anybody in the party, I would think that Mate is the one that Roy has a certain level of respect for, but Roy would still be confused as to why Mate so happily pairs up, or seemingly happily pairs up with organics.
Mhm.
Roy is searching for answers and trying to figure out a way to not die. He is currently about 4.5 years old. Roy is a scout and a hierophant. So different from a lot of synth or artificial intelligence or machine type things in this world, he can actually access things like the warp. And I guess magic, you'd call it?
Yeah, I'm calling it either magic or psionics. Psionics is the word I'm trying to stick with when I do technical documentation. I think psionics is the official word I'm using for it.
Okay. Would it be fair if Roy just referred to all of that kind of stuff as the arcane?
Sure.
Cool. So he understands the arcane. He's got a lightsaber and a little machine pistol and what was the name I came up with it? A gravitational platform, anti-gravitational platform that he keeps at his side and uses to move around quickly in an environment.
But to be clear, it is a hover.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
And it looks exactly like the hoverboard from Back to the Future. It's pink and everything.
Absolutely not.
That? Okay, go on.
No, it is silver. It looks more akin to the Silver Surfer's board, maybe with with some chunky technology on it.
I gotcha.
Oh, that's
I was
wild.
imagining it more almost like a fancy briefcase that's been opened up. It's got lots of geometric chunks.
I suppose I could kind of George Jetson it, just let it unfold.
Sure. Okay.
Hey, a question for you. Did you say your name is Roy?
Yes, my character name is Roy. My real name is Zai.
Right. Who's Cybeck? Or Sabek?
Oh, Sabek? Sabek was my character from the last campaign.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you didn't change your name in the
have not
Discord.
updated that.
Oh, I didn't?
No, I'm fixing it now.
It's no, Sabek's making a return for our campaign.
Different Sabek.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try to make this a very distinct character from Sabek. Sabek was a very angry man. Roy is kind of solemn.
No, I'm very much so into the poetry.
Obscure, yeah. I'll be honest, I have a random poetry generator up.
That's
great.
too.
But there are different words and stuff I can plug into it, and it'll produce something based off of that. So yeah, prepare for a lot of really meaningless haiku. But I'll try to stick to stuff.
Oh, you mean
That's
haiku?
pretty much what's going on in Roy's head, right? Because Roy is a computer.
Yep.
Has a haiku generator in his head.
I love that idea.
Okay, so since Zai has just gone, I think that we should probably do Aeneas next, and as soon as we do Aveline, I'm going to want to do Ruda next, because the two are connected. So let's do Aveline and then Ruda. Is that fair?
Okay. My character's name is Aveline. She's
much better with computers than she is with humans right now. She's very socially awkward, but you wouldn't immediately guess it because you look at her and she's got the loudest hair and outfit in the room.
Yeah.
I came from a research station.
Specifically an academy, right? Like a university?
Yeah, probably more on the prestigious side, but I don't immediately tell people that because I hold a grudge about it that I don't, I might not bring up unless I get closer to the person.
Mm-hmm.
But I came from a research station with a very prestigious university, and I was there with my parents up until the Free States of Macedonia came and took it over, and that is how I lost my legs, and so now I have some nice robotic legs. And I am a agent of the Children of the Warp, and I'm an astropath and a sage. And so... Oh, wait, never mind. That's all good.
So, as an astropath... Sorry, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
So as an astropath, you control time and space. You can do teleportation, and you can also do telekinesis. And Sage just means you're really smart and good with computers. And your character's basically just like it's like your parents were professors at Harvard, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was a professor. One was a like an engineer for like spaceships and such.
And I think there's a very important detail we need to nail down about your character, which is that your character has synthetic color-changing hair, and you also have synthetic color-changing tattoos that spread from the middle of your chest out to your fingertips. And
Yes.
Normally, like 90% of them are transparent, so you only see the tattoo in the middle of her chest. And then the more excited she gets, the more like angry or happy or like pumped up she gets, the more that tattoo like spreads out towards her fingertips. So she's got this this like hair that just lights up and is like neon LED color shifting hair, and also this like color shifting tattoo that spreads out across her body as she gets
Well, that's cool.
It's like my favorite character visual that we've ever come up with. It's super good.
That happened
I'm
involuntarily?
very excited about her.
Oh no, she has that's a that is an augment that she paid to get.
Right, but like, does it mean every time you get any sort of intense emotion, it just like happens?
Yeah, it's in response to like your what's that word for emotion chemicals? It's in response to your emotion chemicals, right?
Yes.
Adrenaline.
There may be multiple. You might mean oxytocin?
Yeah, there's a bunch, I think.
Maybe.
I'm thinking adrenaline.
Yeah, just that whole family of things. So for some reason, it's not actually doing that. Oh, there it is. If you guys go to Discord and art, you'll see the drawings that we did for her character. Because the other thing we established about your character is that your character is one part punk, because she had a rebellious phase where she was just like incredibly punk. She's one part like witchy hippie because of her time in the Children of the Warp, and she's one part like bougie academic because of her time at the university. And her fashion style is just mixing these three aesthetics with no regard. And it like surprisingly works. Like it shouldn't work, but it kind of does. Yeah, I love Aveline. So we've done Aveline. I want to hear from Ruda next.
Yeah. So,
while everybody else has been talking, he's been like really focused on trying to get Frolicks, his cyberpup, to play fetch, and it's not really working well. So he's like throwing things, and like the little cyberpup is like looking at him, and then looking at the thing, and then looking back at him, and he's just like silently reeling and trying to like quietly train this pup.
I think it's like there's like an app that you need to use where you turn on like fetch mode, and Ruda doesn't know this because this is the thing about Ruda, he knows very little about standard galactic technology, correct?
Yeah, so he's got this manual open. Damn it.
Very good.
This is chapter 7, but it's like there's no chapter 7.
This is the only piece of standard galactic tech that Ruda owns.
Roy is staring daggers at you.
Ruda is...
What's the cyberpup's name?
Frolicks.
Frolics, okay.
But so a question to you, Zai. Does that mean that Roy has a lot more empathy for Frolics?
Oh yeah, Roy is going to speak to Frolics whenever he speaks to you.
Wow.
He thinks that Frolics is training you.
This is going to be real good.
Not the other way around. Or he thinks that it should be training you.
Ruda is a military baby. He's from the planet Aelfynn. Alright, Bren, is it a planet? Like
so Aelfynn is the species. Alfheim is the nation, and it is a nation made up of millions of these world ships. Ships the size of planets with fully self-contained ecosystems and stuff. And it is where all of the Aelfynn, where the vast majority of the Aelfynn live.
Okay, so yeah, the Aelfynn are from Alfheim. He was born in a military family. His father was a very high-ranking military officer. He was definitely like acclimated to military life, and so he never really left it. Even though he did leave like the military, he never really left like the lifestyle of the military. His personal mission is to destroy and vanquish all of the daemon, and all the ones that cause chaos and nastiness in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his personal mission.
Very good guy.
All of them. Oh wow. Okay.
He's augmented his body, but being an Aelfynn, he has augmented his body with Aelfynn technology, which is more natural technology in the way that he has soul stones. So he has technology that has like souls of other living beings that are operating those things.
Right. So we'll go into some more detail about all the specifics of Aelfynn tech as the campaign goes on. But the things that players should know about it, it's not made with metal and wires and batteries. It's made with like this material that's somewhere between like, it's kind of like stone, but it grows like wood. And it has like a type of like nervous system that operates it instead of wires. And all of the Aelfynn technology it's not built, it's grown in gardens. So it has a very like organic, flowing look to it. So that it is powered telepathically through their soul stones. So only an Aelfynn can control Aelfynn technology. But an Aelfynn who has died can leave their soul behind in their soul stone, which can then be inserted into any piece of Aelfynn technology to make it self-operating to a degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about Ruda. Brent, would you say he's a child of the warp? Or he's acclimated to the warp in the sense that he can sense warp entities?
Both. So Children of the Warp is an organization. It's the name of an organization that Aveline belongs to. And it is a collective of it's a nation of people who are trying to fight for like supernatural rights. Basically, there's a lot of oppression towards psionic users in the galaxy, and there's a lot of like a very bad relationship between the people of the galaxy and the creatures of the warp, in the same way that our modern day world has a bad relationship with nature. This galaxy has a bad relationship with the warp. So the children of the warp are kind of like eco-terrorists, except instead of ecosystems, it's psionic supernatural ecosystem.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's how you know Aveline, is that you two
We pal
were
around.
both part of that organization, going around trying to, protect the fairies and protect the witches and stuff like that.
Right.
Who are they terrorizing?
Damon? You mean?
So they are trying to fight back against people that want to oppress psionic users and people who are just like blindly exterminating fairies and stuff like that, and trying to so they're not just attacking people blindly. They're trying to do things that make life better for warp psionic users and warp creatures in the galaxy.
Okay.
And this is a big organization. They're probably known in each of the factions, and they have I think they have several star systems that they own, that is their home base, and that they govern themselves. But the majority of their agents are out in the field across the galaxy fighting for good, kind of thing.
One more thing everybody should know. Ruda is a cyborg and a vanguard. So he's pretty militaristic, quick and athletic. He's got a lot of heavy weaponry. And the thing behind him is his
I've been calling it,
if you will, that's powered by a soul stone of his father's ex-lover.
Oh, right.
They have a very close personal connection, personally, not romantically, but Ruda and she had a past relationship, not romantically, but
right.
That's that thing.
The other thing that I'm fascinated with, the idea that you decided to go with the specialization cyborg in a people who don't use traditional technology. So your character is a air quotes cyborg, but you're not made up of metal and machinery parts. You're made up of this every part of your body that's been replaced has been replaced with this wooden. You have these limbs that look like they're made out of stone and wood and stuff like that. Yeah. So the augments you have currently, I know you have one on your sword arm that it is a big vent that shoots out just raw energy out of the top, that is like a jet engine that pushes your arm really fast when you need an accelerated attack. And what's your second one? You had a second augment, didn't you? Oh yeah, your special parts of your body have the skin has rough bark-like texture where it has been reinforced with Aelfynn technology. So your skin has its own armor.
Would you say that cyborgs are kind of like a steampunk druid?
His kind of cyborg, yes. Traditionally, cyborgs are what you think of with cyborgs. They're just half man, half machine. But since he doesn't have machinery, it's it's like half man, half druidic, elvish magic artifacts. Yeah.
Very good.
Any other details you want to give about Ruda?
No, I think that covers it. That covers like the basics.
Okay. And the last character we need to introduce is Colonel Dylan. So, Dad, that's your character.
Dylan.
Dylan.
Dylan?
You might still be muted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Randy, your Dad, you're muted in Discord.
All right, sorry about that, guys.
Dylan.
So, Colonel Dylan, as a young man, I spent a lot of time piloting spaceships, going back and forth, very boring stuff from planet to planet, delivering stuff, working for merchants. And so I'm kind of retired from that. My passion is Civil War reenacting or war reenactments. So I'm always a colonel. So my friends, everyone calls me Colonel Dylan. And, I am a pilot. I did pick that up from working for all those merchants. So, I have a small plane that I pilot. And, I'm looking to do this for the adventure.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
You were in a war, correct? You're a veteran.
Yeah, I'm a veteran of the wars. So yeah, I'm a veteran. I have a warm spot for veterans. I'm always looking out for them, helping them out. And so yeah, got an assault rifle, and I'm ready to take on whatever they send at us.
Yes. So this is
Can I ask you an out of character question?
Sure.
Did Colonel Dylan enjoy war? Is that why he reenacts it, or is it something else?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a deep
one. So you know what? I don't think he had enough involvement. So he was in the war, but
so he romanticized it a little bit.
Yeah, he's like behind the lines, and so so I think he's not got all that out of his system. So yeah, when he has the chance, when he knows there's a reenactment going on, he's got a uniform that he's got a special dress kind of uniform that looks like Napoleon that he likes to wear, and he likes to.
Does he do the whole hand inside the shirt thing?
I love it.
Well, it's like a patent thing, It's a lot of dress, and people respect that. You got to get their attention.
Now, one detail that we had said is that your side lost the war, which I think is a really interesting detail that I think probably very influential to Colonel Dylan's personality. And I wonder if that's maybe why he keeps wanting to do like war reenactments and stuff, is because he's having trouble moving on.
Yeah.
They lost. They don't have that that conclusion that they were hoping for.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Mel in Firefly, the captain.
Is it Mel?
All right.
Mal.
Oh,
Captain Malcolm Reynolds.
Yeah.
Malcolm Reynolds. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I was starting to see like Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist.
No, it's Malcolm Reynolds. Yeah. Okay, so
he's a brown coat.
He's a brown coat. So everybody's introduced their characters. Now we need to come up with there's two things we need to come up with. One is well, okay. I guess there's three sides of it. One is, what does your party do? The other is, how did you guys all meet? And the third is, what is the carrier ship that you guys rent space on, and what's your relationship with it. So we're going to work collaboratively to answer those 3 questions. I think it's probably easiest to answer what your party does before we answer how you guys all met. So I know at one point in the past several months, while we were just like spitballing and kind of like daydreaming about this campaign that seems so far away, I had pitched originally that you guys were just kind of like outlaws who were taking on whatever like mercenary work you could get. But then when we introduced the idea of the Children of the Warp, and specifically of them being kind of anti-imperialists and anti-government fighters who are, trying to help the little guy and fight back against the corrupt powers and stuff like that, some people got really into that idea. And I think at some point we were throwing around the idea that you guys were like mercenaries, but mercenaries with an agenda, exclusively work with like one kind of clientele, and that is like people who are trying to fight back against, power. With that as a starting point, how do you guys all feel about that? What do you think?
I'm totally behind that idea.
Well, I like that. And also for how we met, maybe we have one key character who's like a recruiter who has found other people and invited them to join.
So I have some ideas for that as well, but I want to hear everybody else's ideas.
So I like the that central theme, and funnily enough, like I don't think Roy would be ideologically connected to that whatsoever. I think that Roy would have joined along with the group, seeing them as a means to an end in his quest for answers. So if we're going to go the whole kind of like a group of anti-imperialist, outlaw, revolutionary types, then Roy would have been somebody who was on the ground during one of the group's recent outings or whatever, and decided to go along with the group to figure things out for himself. But he doesn't really believe in any of that. It's just organic nonsense.
Okay, that's really cool. We'll explore that some more. Bluvan, Duranta, Mate, Aveline.
I mean, I think that makes a certain amount of sense, because if I understand how witchery works, it's working directly with creatures of the warp, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. That's something that Duranta would be on board with. Like, hey, these entities really helped me out. Like, I don't want to let them be. What's happening to them again? Sorry?
So there's 2 sides of it. There is the Children of the Warp, which is a specific faction that you guys are not necessarily a part of, as I'm imagining it. But Aveline and Ruda are both parts of this, and they are doing... I mean, they're just going around, and anywhere that you have like, a village that's like burning witches, or a planet that has totally fucked up its warp ecosystem by destroying all the foliage, which killed off all the fairy creatures or something like that. You guys go in and try to remedy that situation. But the party as a whole in this situation would be people who take on various jobs for various different groups that are fighting back against corrupt people in power. So this could be a revolutionary group that's fighting for, planetary freedom. It could be a group that's trying to like blackmail a shitty corporation and reveal the bad stuff they're doing. It could be a group that is like it could be just working with an individual, like there's somebody who like kid has been kidnapped and they need you to help like rescue them. But it's every job that you guys take on are like You're mercenaries, but you're goodwill mercenaries. You're mercenaries who like worthwhile jobs. Is how I'm imagining it.
So, what are the main powers that are currently there that we might be fighting against?
So, there's big picture galactic powers. You have the Terran Empire, the Free States of Macedonia. You have Aelfynn, but they're pretty innocent. You have
Are they?
We'll
Hold
see.
on. I'm from Aelfynn. Right?
Yeah, there's the Diocese and the Krell Sovereign, and then I think that's it. And everything else is free states rogue states, rogue kingdoms. But I think that you guys are probably not, at least at the beginning of the campaign, trying to like overthrow the Empire. I think it's more like, there is like one corrupt imperial, like chancellor who is, kidnapping people and keeping them as slaves or something, and the police aren't doing anything about it because he owns the police, and so you guys are going to go in and right the situation. Something like that.
So I have I had something I was thinking about connected to one specific part to what you were saying earlier, which goes in a little bit of a different direction, but I guess I'll pitch it and see how you like it. Because we're right now not specifically aligned against a whole empire, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that you could have a group of people who could be like mercenary healers is not exactly the right word, but like people who go in to some war-ravaged world and tries to establish order and help protect society while it sort of rebuilds itself a little bit.
So like,
we're like
Doctors
fixers.
Without Borders, but with guns.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
like
was
that.
thinking more like Scandal, but space. But okay.
Space Scandal.
No, I love that, and I think that would. I had not thought of that, but I think that we could say that that's a big part of what you guys are doing, and that would actually be really cool because I've come up with a lot of these big factions and big like wars that they're fighting, but you guys wouldn't necessarily be like involved in wars. But if we went that angle, then you guys would still see a lot of like aftermath of wars, and there would be a lot of. So another thing that's going on in this setting is you have demons, where you'll occasionally get demonic outbreaks that like destroy a community or destroy a planet, and then you have the Xenotians, which are basically the Zerg. They just like show up out of nowhere and they spread like a disease across the planet, and within like a week the whole planet is subsumed, and then they send like wars out into space to go for other planets to destroy. So there's a big need for people to like help people evacuate from just planets that are being overrun by Xenotians and stuff like that. And I was actually thinking that that's how you guys met Duranta and Mate, is that Xenotians were destroying their planet and you guys answered a distress call.
Yeah, that kind of works with what I was going with, because I noticed a lot of folks had a backstory that somehow connected to like a protector theme.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would work really well if we were kind of a renegade band of protectors freelance.
Yeah. I really like that. This is good.
Roy was on that planet trying to get, and I don't know what it is yet, but an answer to one of his questions before it got destroyed by the Zerg.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Or not the Zerg, whatever they were called, Xenotians.
Xenotians, that's it.
Yeah.
So let's see. That answers.
If y'all are into it, connecting with what Randy had said earlier, Bluvan could potentially be a recruiter of sorts, because he's a physician, and he might be in the position of trying to get people together to allow him to practice his physicianing healing stuff on a planet.
That would be really good, and that would fit in with you being an empath and a physician. I really like that. So you're maybe not necessarily the party leader, but definitely like the party diplomat. I love that.
Yeah.
So do you guys think that you are so obviously Aveline and Ruda and maybe even Duranta are part of this organization, the Children of the Warp. Do you think that your party as a whole is part of a larger organization? Or do you think that you're just like a group of like-minded individuals who like doing this work and you've grouped together because, you know, it's unsafe to take on this kind of work without a few people at your side?
I feel like Ruda's trying to actively recruit because he's on such like a pinpointed mission.
So,
but I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean that like this group has to be. You know.
I don't know if we're all together for like one express purpose. I think that's going to push individual character narratives all in the same direction. I think having characters come together from various sets of circumstances.
Okay, so your uniting factor is you like this work, and so you've come together to do this work, and that's what's holding you together at the beginning of the campaign.
I like that idea.
I keyed on Bluvan there mentioning he was an empath, and so I think my characters maybe kind of might have been beguiled into following him. So I'm kind of wondering now if I'm here of my own volition, or if maybe I've been somehow talked into this.
That's funny.
So, and I like something else Jeff said, that maybe he's the one who like brings people in. He's recruiting on the time. Hey, bud. Hey, I got a special deal here for you. Come check this out. You'll like this. And yet, maybe he's not the leader. Maybe the leader is a very charismatic kind of guy, who can go into a diplomatic situation. Everybody, the room parts. Here's the leader, and yet. Bluvan is kind of behind the scenes recruiting people to make things happen.
I have a solution to this that I think will tie that in, and it goes into the next part, which is what is your relationship with the carrier ship? So this is the biggest unknown because I have an idea of how I saw it going. This is going to be a huge part of the format of this campaign, so I really want you guys to be 100% on what this is. I want there to be some kind of home base that you guys spend a lot of time at during and between missions. And the way that I had originally spitballed as an option for this is that you guys rent space on this big shared carrier ship because it's so expensive to do warp jumps from star system to star system that it's much more economical for if you've got a bunch of like mercenaries or smugglers or merchants, whatever, like a bunch of small groups that can't afford to do these warp jumps themselves. They can all pay rent on one big ship, and the one big ship does warp jumps for all of them. And then it's a bunch of groups that are staying together that like they all know each other, they're all friendly, they all live together in a community, but they're not one big organization with a united focus. They're just a bunch of people that happen to like live in the same condo, basically.
So you're thinking of basically like a non-stationary space station?
Yeah, and the space station, it will, let's say like once a month or something, it jumps to a new star system, and I think that is probably
like a predefined route or something like that. So
either it's a predefined route or it's decided by vote or something. It's probably easier for logistics if it's predefined, so people can like work out in advance. Like if you're going to be
Yeah, because if we do a vote, then you're going to be writing a whole bunch of NPCs that are going to get killed.
So you have all these people that live on the ship, and the ship, it's like a train. Like it has stops that it will go to, and it goes to a new stop like once a month. You're on the ship. It goes to the new star. You guys all like look around. You find your jobs. Everybody breaks into their teams and then goes off and does their jobs, and they do their jobs, they buy merchandise, they sell the stuff they've been smuggling, they whatever for like a month, and then when the month is up, everybody meets back up on the mothership and they hop off to the next star system.
It's the Transgalactica.
Yep.
I like that, because my character, I think, would do some trading and smuggling, and I've got a small plane that I need to keep somewhere, so this is a convenient place, and I might know the other characters just because, I kind of live here on this ship. But I like the idea of, buying stuff from one place and selling it at another place, and that's how I make a living, and the rest is just adventure.
So I have some more ideas about where we could go on this. Jeff, what's your question?
I was going to ask how big the ship is. Like, thousands of people live on it, but it also does provide kind of a context of how we actually ever met in the first place, which is just maybe we were already on the ship. And
this
then
is what I was trying to get at. So
there you go.
I was thinking personally, I've been thinking that it currently has a population of about 100, and it can hold a population of up to like 300. Maybe that could be like it can hold a population of up to like 1,000, but it's not a city. There's a bunch of like groups that are very similar to your group, and so there's maybe like 10 other groups of people that's like 5 to 10 people that all have a shared purpose, that take on missions. The ship as a whole does not have one shared philosophy, except that the ship, everybody on the ship has a shared interest in being discreet. This is a ship that does not raise any red flags. They've got all the right, counterfeit documents or whatever, so that they're not going to have any issues with immigration, because there's a lot of people on this ship that's doing dirty work, or that's doing mercenary work, or rebel army work, or whatever. But any way you slice it, they don't want people like sticking their nose in their business.
Hold on.
So is this ship outside of the law, or is it sort of okay?
Yes. And so what I was thinking is the ship as a whole, the ship profits when it has good crews working, because more crews means more money coming into the ship, which means maybe you guys all pay the ship like a cut of your profits or something. And so the ship has a vested interest in getting good crews to work for it. So this is what I'm thinking is Bluvan is a recruiter, not for some like rebel army, but for this ship. And Bluvan finds people who look like they might be capable, and maybe they're interested in mercenary work, maybe they want to be smugglers, maybe they want to be merchants, maybe they want to be spies, and he gets them to come onto the ship. He helps them find a good group that like fits their interests, and introduces them and helps them get settled. And the group that he travels with happens to be this one group of people that came together that want to do mercenary work, but like ethical mercenary work. So if we went that angle, then we would say, yeah, so Bluvan was the one who met all of you guys in various different ways at various different times, recruited you to come live on this ship and do good work and, live the adventure lifestyle.
Does the ship have a captain, or is the ship more like governed by some sort of artificial intelligence that's programmed by somebody else that's not actually on the ship?
I was thinking both. So I think that there is a captain who's very charismatic and is like the face of and is a big character. But I think that the ship, I was thinking that the ship might also have an AI that's a very significant part of the organization and is maybe like captain and the AI work some things. The captain does more of the like face-to-face work, talking with the different crews, and the AI does more of the like logistical processing. What are you guys thinking about this so far?
Well, I like that there's an AI that does all the interface with the ship and all of the real work behind the scenes, and the captain. I like that you said he's talking to the people and he's got to interface with the people, and then he just tells the ship, how to get things done. I also like the part about the different factions. I think that's neat that we're not alone. There are other factions that have their own agenda. And maybe sometimes we'll work together, sometimes we'll butt heads. So I think that's neat. And we don't know exactly who they are. We just know of these other groups.
So these other groups live on the ship with you. You definitely know who they are because they're like...
Yeah, but I don't know that we know individual names.
Maybe, no, definitely not.
There's Mary, Susie, and whoever. It's just that...
Or like other people that go to your... Like, you don't know every person at your school by name, but you, like, probably recognize all of them, and you have a general idea of, like, who talks to who and stuff.
Yeah. Right. And you meet people, and they're like, oh, this is so-and-so from this faction. And you're like, oh, yeah, I know you guys. You stole a job from us last month. I'm still a little ticked about that. You can tell.
Yeah. So we would definitely need to have like a code of conduct for, what is cool and what is not cool when dealing with each other. Because it's definitely bad for the ship if like two of your mercenary crews just kill each other. But
it is.
Because it means that these people who are all like one of the shared things that all of the crews on this ship have in common is that they're all looking for opportunity. They're either taking on jobs or they're looking for like, their valuables that they can, collect and sell later, or they're like looking for whatever. They're looking for various different work opportunities, and all of you guys help each other out in like finding.
You mentioned a code of conduct, so that has me now thinking of this situation as sort of like a pirate ship that has multiple crews.
Oh yeah, that's a great way to think.
And there's like a parlay system, and there's like, I don't know, maybe a group of judges, like a one person from each of the mercenary groups that decides on disputes between them to, keep from everybody killing each other.
Yeah, that's great. The other thing that I wanted to say is, so I've been thinking a lot about this ship. I actually have a drawing of this ship around somewhere. I'll go try to find it in a second and paste it. But one thing that I think is very important is not all adventurer. It's like I'm thinking that maybe like 2/3 of the people on this ship are some kind of like adventurer professionals, and then about 1/3 of the people on this ship are staff who like, who run the cafeteria and the laundry and who, clean the rooms and stuff like that. So in a way, the whole ship is kind of like a big hotel. There's a lot of different staff working there, and one of the things I want to do throughout this campaign is I want to have a big roster of both crew members and staff who live on this ship, and as the campaign goes on, you guys will have more and more scenes where you meet different people from this ship, and you have like you build relationships with them, and
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like it.
We all like it?
I
Yeah.
really
Sounds
like
good to me.
that. Yeah.
There's a lot of backstory. That's good.
That's good. I'm glad you guys like this. I'm very excited. Let's see. I'm gonna go look for that drawing. I'll be back in just a second. You guys brainstorm if you have any other questions that need to be answered, like before the start of the campaign. I guess one that we should do is where you guys are at the start of the campaign, like physically in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Go brainstorm.
Abandon the void. A silent synthetic burns whilst watching the soul. This thing is awesome.
Do you keep any of the poems, or do you do the thing where you like burn them after you read them?
I have one favorited so far, but I just kind of like move on.
No, I meant like your actual character, like in universe. Do you keep the poems?
Oh no, Roy doesn't see it as speaking poetry or anything like that.
Oh, he just straight up sees
This
that
is
as
just how
like,
Roy thinks.
That's great.
I love it.
So that's going to be the
Yeah.
best way to get to understand Roy and know his position.
Oh, we're gonna have a lot of really fun conversations.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting that you decided to go kind of like the synthetic route.
What was that?
Not just for you. I mean, like more so the character ends up being very interesting because it gives a lot of options for the way that we all will be communicating with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes it very interesting to see how you're going to react in some of the situation where it's like, what happens when we come
that's
across
actually
like a hostage situation.
Yeah, Roy won't care. That's part of
My
why I
body's
wanted.
disposable.
That's part of why I wanted to play this character because Sabek in the last campaign, I mean, you kind of always knew where he was going to be at emotionally in any given situation. Roy does not have those same organic considerations. So anger and surprise or things like that, passionate responses, they're not going to be passionate ones.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Purposely dispassionate and probably at sometimes a little cruel, but also at times there will be things that he does that you could characterize as being like really caring and really helpful and all that, but to him it's pure logic.
So quick question then, would you consider Roy more of a sympathetic ear to like all non-organics?
What do you mean by sympathetic ear?
So let's say we're outside of a space coffee shop and we're low on funds and I decide to hack an ATM. Would you consider that sacrilege for me to be doing something that the ATM didn't ask for? Like it couldn't give consent. So
that's an interesting question. I don't think Roy would care because as a synthetic being, the concept of consent wouldn't really occur to him in the same way as it would in organic. Synthetics and machine life, if you want to call it that, is one that's based on just commands and performing functions. And you don't ask a computer if it wants to go to a website, you just do it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I have one other follow-up then.
Shoot.
This might be more for the DM, but if you can answer this.
Okay.
Can I interface with Roy?
No. We've decided that Roy is
100% organic.
Organic, but
and he hates it.
So he has a human brain. It's that the contents of that brain are a computer. It's very cool.
Yeah. His mind is synthetic, but his body is 100% organic. So he doesn't have any augmentations, no cybernetics or anything like that. He would actually look on that as disrespectful to machines, which is why I was staring daggers at Ruda earlier, both because of the cyberdog and because Ruda is a cyborg.
But not a machine cyborg.
It's the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
does Roy know that?
I think that he would. If not, then when he does find out, then that will be the position.
Okay.
Right.
I have a general question.
Sure.
I guess this pertains mostly to Roy and MX8 because I think everyone else is some version of organic, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Although Roy's also organic, sort of. Is it assumed that there's ambiguity in how, generally speaking, those beings come into existence, whereas organics are probably born from someone's mother? Is it assumed that no one really, like, maybe there's a creator that designed them or something?
So
that is actually part of Roy's backstory.
Man, I can't answer that question.
Right. So
no, I'm not asking for you specifically, but like, would I not assume there to be an origin story? Like the specific, like it's ambiguous, I guess.
Right. So here's what I can tell you. You know that in the galaxy, there are almost no real artificial intelligence. There are artificial intelligences that are kind of like Siri, where it is a like a facade, a like programmatic approximation of personality, but anybody who spends 5 minutes with it can easily tell that it's a program. And it doesn't have like will and ambitions, stuff like that. There are sleeves, which are sentient beings, people who were born and came out of a womb, that then had their brain scanned and converted into data, and then had that data put on a hard drive, and that hard drive put into a robot that they control. It's not a program that was written. It's not an AI controlling the robot. It's a digitization of a human or Fawnian or whatever brain that's running the robot.
Yeah, and that's where Roy's story gets murky, because he's basically the reverse of that process.
Yes, Roy is a computer that was verse digitized and put in a meat bucket.
Yeah.
So
his physical body probably, I would imagine, does have parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I guess, possibly. Maybe he was grown in a vat, but
I have an idea for that, but Roy doesn't know.
Okay. We'll talk about that later.
You said that real artificial intelligence is super uncommon. Is Roy one of the few exceptions?
Roy... *****. No, including Roy, but we will explore that throughout the campaign. MX8, I think that you have an idea of what your character is. Like you know the concept of what MX8 is. I just don't know if you know the name for it.
Yeah.
And we had said that your character has not revealed what they are, but have they confirmed that they are not a sleeve? They're not a human that has been put in a robot body.
Yeah, that much they do know.
So the party knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I definitely would have shared that with Duranta.
Yes. So what you guys know about Mate is that Mate is some kind of exception to the rule. The rule is robots that are run and that are like self-aware and run by their own programming don't exist, and Mate is some kind of exception.
All right.
Yeah, I kind of hate being so like blasé about it,
Yeah.
but there's definitely more there. I just don't know how fair it is to reveal it right now.
There is a like somebody who was clever. There is information that is publicly available that people could start making some inferences about what Mate is, but there's no way for me to start that conversation of like, well, has your character started thinking about this without just giving it away? So
I think we can get into that like in fiction, but
yeah,
I don't.
That's what I'm
think
gonna
right
do.
now is the appropriate time. Yeah.
So
Jeff, I think the one of the best ways to think about my character as well would be to think that there are more forms of life possible than artificial intelligence and organic life.
Right.
So, for example, even in the real world, if life developed from a silicon based, it wouldn't be
Right.
what we recognize as organic.
Absolutely.
So, I think a good thing to use as a rule of thumb is that things that have air quotes souls have a warp shadow and can use psionics. Every character in this party except for Mate has a warp shadow, but Roy's warp shadow and Aveline and Ruda. I think that you two both know this. Duranta might know this as well. Roy's warp shadow looks different than the warp shadow of every other living creature you've ever seen. So normally warp shadows have this texture as if they're made kind of like smoke in the general shape of a person. Roy's warp shadow looks more like it's like a swarm of locusts or like pixels that are like floating around. It's like blocks that are like popping in and out of existence. And it's weird, and it very much stands out in the. Yeah.
Hell yeah, for weirdos.
Yeah. So I want to address the answer of the question of when you guys all met each other. So we've established that you guys were all recruited onto this ship. By the way, I've named the ship the Gemini, if you guys are all right with it, and I just pasted a picture of it in art in the Discord. So if you guys
That's funny. This is what makes me think that this is all simulation. I woke up this morning with a text from my mom being like, "You look like Will Smith from Gemini Man." And I'm like, "No, I don't, Mom. That's ridiculous."
Oh my gosh, that is a very specific poll.
Yeah.
So, you guys were all recruited onto the Gemini. Most of you were probably recruited by Bluvan, which would make Bluvan one of the oldest members of the crew. It's very funny because I was going a very different angle with it, but that works. We need to establish a timeline of when you guys were all recruited, and if you guys met each other before being recruited, etc. The one point that we do know is that MX8 and Duranta and the rest of Duranta's clan were picked up by the Gemini 2 years ago. So that's the one fixed point that we have. So everybody else needs to establish when they were recruited and when they met each other in relation to that 2 years ago point.
I would like to be the most recently recruited and have the least amount of character development with the rest of the party.
Okay, I was going to think either Roy or Colonel Dylan. I think whoever recruited most recently, I'm going to for the introduction mission as the introduction mission is there breaking them in. So we could do Roy or Colonel Dylan, and let's just go ahead and do Roy then.
It could be both.
It could be both.
Yeah. Okay. We were both on the planet that the Xenocians were swarming over, both for different reasons, but we were both found there.
Different planet. MX8 and Duranta were from the planet that got swarmed by Xenocians, but you guys you guys could be from a similar kind of catastrophe.
Gotcha.
So, Jeff, were you saying something?
Oh, I was trying to contextualize maybe some sort of disaster or war hit world was one that had stirred a lot of emotions in most people who were just witness to it, and then Bluvan could have used that moment to say, hey, let me try to get people together. So I don't know what the event was that might have been generating people to be willing to do this, but I'm thinking there could have been one.
We said
How about a plague that hits magic users? It was developed by one of the powers in the universe to start getting rid of them.
That okay, that lines in closely with the idea of demons, so that would be connected to warp entities of some kind. So I wanted to say, Bluvan, you had established that Homeworld was taken over by the Krell Sovereign, this big militaristic faction, and that in the years since, you've been acting as a representative of the people. Like you are trying to be a doctor for people who need doctors, and you're trying to like play the system to help people get by. I think that somewhere in that process, which is working individually to try to help people, you would have come across the Gemini, had ended up in this system, maybe just like, because they were in this system and one of the crews of Gemini was there trying to make a profit or whatever. They recruited you so that you could come on and continue doing your kind of work, but on a bigger scale. And that would make you the first person that recruited the Gemini. And we can say that's like 10 years ago or something.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we know Ruda and Aveline were recruited 2 years ago. Theoretically, we could say that those two were the first people from this group on the Gemini if we wanted, but I think it's better if Bluvan at least was on the Gemini beforehand. I think you guys definitely, as a party, collected relatively recently, and maybe more of you guys were on the Gemini beforehand, were different crews kind of restructured more recently. I want to know, so I think Aveline and Ruda knew each other beforehand because you guys had both joined the Children of the Warp, and you were working together as Children of the Warp agents. And then as agents of the Children of the Warp, you met the Gemini and saw this as a convenient way to continue doing your work, but in a like more organized way with assets. What do you think about that?
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I think that, like, for Aveline, it was, like, mostly, like, she didn't, like... It is a necessity to, like, to the point that we have more, like, resources at our hands if we join the Gemini, but I also feel like for Aveline specifically, it was like, I don't really need this ship because I can just go anywhere in the universe I want at will, but since I had bonded with Ruda, and Ruda was like, I want to stick with the Gemini, I was like, all right, I'll stick with the Gemini.
Okay. I like that. If you guys both like that. So do you think it was, do you think that you guys joined the Gemini? So you guys joining as the Gemini as a set would take us basically up to the present, and then we're saying that Colonel Dylan and Roy were both recruited in the past, like, month or whatever. So Ruda and Aveline, we're going to say that Bluvan ended up on the Gemini. Jeff, do you want to say 10 years ago?
Sure.
Okay, so Bluvan was on the Gemini 10 years ago and has been working as a recruiter for a long time. Duranta and Mate, along with the rest of Duranta's clan, ended up on the Gemini 2 years ago. Want to say that Ruda and Aveline were recruited by Bluvan last year? So you guys have a year on the Gemini?
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives me some backstory with Ruda and Aveline.
Yes, and it means that all of you, I think at that point there were enough of you with shared interests that that was probably the point that you banded together and started working as an adventuring crew last year with the 5 of you. So you 5 all know each other relatively well. And
who's in that 5 again?
Bluvan, Ruda, Duranta, Aveline, and me.
Oh, okay.
And then you 5 also know like everybody on the rest of the ship fairly well. Colonel Dylan and Roy were both recruited in the past month. Do we want to say any more specifics about how you guys were recruited?
Roy doesn't see himself as a recruit. I can say that. He's accompanying or tagging along for now. But
hey,
I like the idea of a catastrophe and us being found in that area.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there was because I like the idea that Roy was there because Roy was trying to investigate something about his background.
Yeah.
So maybe this was. You said that Roy has. It's been 4 years since Roy came to consciousness, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we wouldn't say that it was like right next to where he woke up. I think that this is a facility that you had tracked back to the same group that had created you. And just as you were about to make some progress investigating it, the planet got attacked by the Krell Sovereign, and it escalated very quickly, and it was getting to the point that they were going to start like dropping nukes on the planet. And I think that the party did a last-minute evacuation, and we can say that Colonel Dylan was on the planet at the same time, and maybe Colonel Dylan was there also helping with evacuation. How he met the party. What do you guys think
Sounds
about
good.
I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
like
The
that.
idea of joining as a result of an evacuation works better for my character than just I'm going to recruit to this cause. So, yeah.
Right. But we do need to establish why. So Roy is sticking with them. Is Roy sticking with them because he knows that they're going to be going to a lot of different places in the galaxy? They're going to be involved in a lot of different things, which will potentially include them, digging deep into information about like different organizations or something. So this is just a convenient way for Roy to get access to a lot of different places and a lot of different information.
I think that Roy would see the party as people that he may be able to learn something from here or there, considering that he is a Hierophant, and there are, everybody does have access to those abilities as well, or not Hierophant abilities, but something associated with the warp. And that's why I was asking if there's like a pre-established or predetermined like path that the Gemini goes on, or if there's a certain set points that it goes to, because those points I would think would just lined up with where Roy wanted to go anyway, or things that places that he needed to check anyway.
I like that. Yeah, I definitely like that. Okay. So that answers. I like Jeff's gif. So that answers all of the how you guys know each other questions, and all of the the campaign format questions, I think. I wanted to say I had an idea for the first level the other day, and I was thinking we could do so Colonel Dylan and Roy were both recruited onto the ship like last month before the most recent jump. You guys have gone through the logistics of filling out the paperwork and stuff. You've gotten your room. You've moved in. By the way, every person on this ship, it's a pretty big ship, and the ship has several hundred rooms. Each room is the size of a master bedroom. I mean, it's enough to have a queen size bed, a dresser, a full size mirror, all that stuff. without feeling cramped. So everybody gets their own space, which has, I mean, you know what it is? It's pretty much a generic hotel room. If you rent a hotel room, this is exactly what the rooms on the Gemini look like. So everybody gets plenty of space. And then each floor of the Gemini has it has a row of rooms on each side. So on the, let's say, the port side and the starboard side both have rows of rooms. And then in the middle between those rows of rooms, there is a restroom and like recreational area. One set of those in the front side of the boat and one set of those in the back side. So because these floors are pretty big, they have you have multiple different bathrooms you can walk to and multiple different recreational areas you can walk to that have, you know, like stuff like pool and card games and stuff, as well as TVs, video game consoles, all that stuff. The other thing that the ship has, if you guys look at the drawing of the ship that I put in the art channel, the ship has this command console space that is in the back of it. That's where the captain works from, and like offices and stuff are. And then in the front of the ship, there's this like beak shape that I drew in. That is, it's like 5 stories tall, and on each story, the whole outside of that room is entirely made of glass. Well, transparent steel, so it is very, very durable. But you can see through it, and you can like see the stars around you, or you can see like the planets that you're orbiting around. And each floor of that has different like restaurants and bars and stuff like that. So one of those floors is the main, like the ship's bar, and that's where there's like a big display that shows like every job that the AI has kind of like picked up off the net in the star system that you're in currently, and it says like these are the jobs available. So people go to the bar and they kind of just like, you know, skim through and see if anything looks appealing to them. The other things this ship has, it has 2 big wings that are actually just giant solar panels. It has, I originally said that they were solar sails, and then my roommate told me that's not how solar sails work. It also has the bottom of the ship is it's like 3 stories tall, and it is all the back of it is a giant hangar that has every person in the ship's vehicles in it, so it's fucking huge. The front of that bottom floor is a cargo bay that has all of the cargo that's being shipped, and then in the middle between the two, they have different like science labs and engineering labs. The last thing to note is here in the absolute middle of the ship between those wings. Deal. Between those 2 wings, you see that circular thing? That is a greenhouse. It's a pretty huge greenhouse that's you know, maybe like half a mile wide or something. It produces all of the food, or at least the majority of the food that is eaten by the people on the ship, and it also works as the primary oxygen filtration system on the ship. And I have some ideas for the there as like the gardener. Do you guys have any questions about the ship?
No.
No,
I do not.
it's a nice ship.
There's a nice ship. I've been designing it over the past week.
Where's roughly the area that we're located on the ship?
So, I think that they would probably give your crew all rooms that are close to each other. So there are 3 floors of housing room floors. I might change that number to fit better with like logistics and stuff as we figure out more about the. But let's say that you guys are on floor 3, and you guys just have. So Duranta and Mate would also be sharing a space with all of the survivors from Duranta's planet that are living on here. So there's all of the surviving clan, then there's Duranta and Mate, and then Bluvan, Ruda, Aveline, Colonel Dylan, and Voy. So you guys have 7 rooms all back to back. And you have access to one of those recreation centers and one of those nice bathrooms inside. And then there's like a very advanced. Okay, those things that are like conveyor belts that you stand on in an airport that take you to the next like terminal over. They have one of those to help you get down to the like bar area, since that's where a lot of people go to eat. There's also like snacking available in the recreation area, but the you guys are going to have to go to the bar area fairly often, so these like conveyor belts help you get there in a couple minutes, even though it's pretty far away. Yeah.
So is this faster than light kind of ship? Is it like about a week between destinations?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think the Gemini takes several days to go between star systems, but because of the way that it accelerates and then decelerates while going through faster than light space, it can go to like, it could theoretically cross from like one side of the galaxy to the other in a month, because it's all exponentials or something. I don't know. I'm trying not to get too deep into science this campaign. I don't know science that well, and I don't know how to hard science campaign. I know how to science fantasy campaign, so that's what we're doing. Don't worry about the
just say it. Just say it takes a few days or it takes a week. You know, but
it is more of like
one place to the next.
It is more of like a warp tunnel type of thing, as opposed like Star Trek, as opposed to like a blink type of movement like Battlestar Galactica.
It's not instantaneous, but it is. It's also not restricted by the speed of light, because if it was, you guys would be stuck inside of one star system for the whole campaign. So, I think that's all of our questions. I was originally going to say if we had some excess time left over, I would try to come up with some scenes for you guys to do in the Gemini, but I don't really have any ready. And I feel like we've been going a decent amount of time for what this section is. I think that we've answered all of the questions that I wanted to answer about the campaign. What are you guys thinking? This is our time.
I think this is a good handing off point, because I think we can digest all this background stuff. So I think I'm just as happy that we're not jumping into something, because it's a little late for me. So I think this is a good point, and I think we've covered a lot of backstory. You know, I feel like we've kind of filled in a lot of pieces.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have ideas on the starting campaign? Do you want to leave us with something to think about it for the first adventure?
Okay. So we're going to I think next game we're going to start with you guys on the Gemini picking up this quest, if we're gonna put it that way, picking up this job and getting to ask all your questions about it and stuff like that. But the job that I think that you pick up for your day one job is there is a university whose professor and several of her colleagues left to go on an expedition and hasn't returned or checked in like a week. And they want you to go find this professor. The other thing I'm going to do for our first game is because you guys have 2 new members with you, the captain has asked to go along with your crew for this campaign or for this mission, so that she can observe you and see how you guys work together and make sure you guys are a good fit. So what I'm doing with this is going to be my opportunity as a GM to give you guys suggestions and kind of point you in the right direction as you're getting wisdom. So there's going to be lots of spaces where, one of the things you could do here is hey, maybe you could hack that car and check the database of that car to see where somebody has gone recently. You guys would not know that you can do that right away. So that's going to be, I'm going to have the captain there so the captain can say, have you guys considered doing this? Basically.
I think that helps.
You can't keep doing that. Yes, I'm so excited. I love your characters. I love your dynamics. I'm really excited to see this campaign play out. Next Saturday, do we want to aim to play next Saturday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Sure.
That works. Yeah, Saturdays are good for me.
Yeah, because we're living in quarantine time, I'm comfortable playing more often than that if you guys want. But I'm also, I get the feeling it's probably better if we stick to, we play our games on Saturday, and then throughout the week, I will be available to do other socializing stuff with you guys. So I think Morgan and Mikhail and I, Aeneas, were you online with us today? Yes, you were.
Yes.
I think we were saying that we might start doing some kind of game night, several times a week. Where maybe that is something like Jackbox, maybe it's something like, I don't know, StarCraft. We'll just do different stuff throughout the week to, try to keep each other sane.
Try to get some new variety in it.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Cool. All right, y'all.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
All right, cool.
All right.
Fun.
Good.
Go to sleep.
Hey, all right.
Wow, you old. Good night.
Yeah,
Good
thanks,
talking to
everyone.
everybody.
Yeah, you
Wonderful
too.
meeting
Have a good
everyone's
weekend.
characters.
Yeah, good to meet you all.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, for sure.
Peace.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good night, all.
Night, everyone.